everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking all about how you can get straight A's in law school. So whether you're starting law school this year or the following year, this video is for you. For those of you who don't know, my name is Sephora. I'm a licensed attorney and law school coach. I've helped hundreds of individuals get into and succeed in law school. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. The very first thing you are going to want to do if you want to get straight A's in law school, especially your first semester or your entire first year, your 1L year, you are going to want to create a law school schedule. Oh my gosh. A schedule was probably the thing that allowed me to finish in the top of my class 1L year and at graduation. I kept a schedule all 3 years. Obviously that schedule changed. Obviously different things went on it. Different things were prioritized over my 3 years in law school, but especially when you are just starting out, you want to have a schedule. So on your schedule, what are you going to include? Number one, you're going to put your class times. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, you know your classes, you know when the times are, you know what days. Put that on your schedule. I recommend using Google Calendar or some other type of calendar that will allow you to sync across all devices. So for me, I used Google Calendar, but I also had like a physical calendar, not a physical calendar, but I also had, well, I did have a physical calendar, but I also had one on Word that I could because I wanted to visualize it on Word. So I made it on Word first, and then I transferred that over into Google Calendar. I also had a planner, and I used to sell my planner. Maybe I'll get back to selling it. If you want me to, I have to recreate it because it's for last year. But if you're interested in buying that law school planner, let me know and I'll recreate it for this school year so that you can grab it. So just comment that down below so I know. But so I had those 3 different things, and I obviously mainly use the planner and the Google Calendar. I really like the planner just because I'm someone who I like to write things down and see it on paper and cross it off as I get it done. And so that was obviously more effective to do than just doing on Google Calendar. Google Calendar I liked because I had it on my laptop, I had it on my phone, but if I was actually in class, I'd be able to look at it physically. So on your calendar, on your schedule, you're going to want to include your class times, your hours, the days. You are also going to include your study time. So you're going to want to make sure you're putting in enough study time requisite or according to how many credits your classes are, right? So include that on your schedule as well. The other things you're going to want to include is when you are waking up in the morning, what time. If you are going to be commuting to school, how long your commute is going to be, you need to include that in your calendar. You also should be including any exercise time, and hopefully you do and will plan to exercise, so you are including that. You're including any time you're going out, you're including your lunch time, you're including your dinner time. So basically you are including every single thing that you're going to be doing in your calendar. This is going to be in your schedule. It's going to be important because it's going to allow you to see where you have free time, and you will have free time, and that's why you're doing the schedule. You're going to see actually how many hours you're getting in of study time, which is going to be so important, especially if you are just going in for the first time and didn't do a pre-law program, which I do recommend, because you are going to want to make sure that you're studying enough so that you can perform well, because obviously that's what this video is about. You're going to then be able to add in office hours. You're going to then be able to add in networking. You're going to then be able to add in outlining. You're then going to be able to add in practice exams, right? So that's why you need the schedule, because if you don't have these things already on your schedule, already on your calendar, you're just going to feel overwhelmed and be like, but how am I going to fit all these things into my schedule? And I promise you they can fit, because I did it. And I'm telling you how I did it, right? And I do this, I walk through this with my clients. So that's why you're going to want to make sure you have this. The second thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to learn to case brief. So I teach my clients many different ways of case briefing, but you can book brief, which I don't know that I recommend for your first few months of your 1L year. You can also make your own case briefs. You can also build off of someone else's case briefs, and you can just start from scratch, right? So many different ways to case brief, but you're going to at least want to get an idea of how to do it, because that is going to be where you are getting the rule of law from. And of course, the rule of law is going to be what's important going into the exam, because that's how you're going to apply whatever facts you're reading about, whatever's on the exam. You're going to apply those facts to the rule of law to come to the conclusion that you're writing about, which is going to be very important, right? So instead of trying to struggle to figure out how to case brief or how to deduce the rule of law or what facts matter and what facts don't and what the reasoning was, The quicker you can learn how to do that, the quicker you can learn how to analyze that case through case briefing or some other means, you're more likely to perform better that first semester in your 1L year. Number 3, which kind of builds on the case briefing, is outlining. Outlining is the key. Outlining is the key to performing well in law school. Outlining is what you're going to use to build your exams. Outlining is what you're going to use to write your exams, whether closed book or open book. Outlining is what you're going to want to know, like the back of your hand. There are, again, just like case briefing, there's many different ways to outline. I always recommend getting outlines from upperclassmen. That will allow you to do tons of things, but really also make sure that you aren't missing anything on your outline that you're creating or you're building off of when you're going through your classes. So what I would do a ton of different things, but relevant to this video, just one thing that I would do was I would take their outlines and I would write my notes actually directly into their outline. I didn't do that my 1L year. That's what I did my 2L year. My 1L year, I actually created all my own outlines from scratch. That was a form of studying for me, and it worked. And so again, like I said, there's many different ways, and I just gave you 2 of them that I did do, and that has worked for me and has worked for my clients, but there are also other ways that I've explained and shared with my clients that has worked for them as well. But because outlining is so important, the more you can learn, or the more you can teach yourself, or the sooner you can learn how to recognize a good outline, get those outlines from those upperclassmen, and then apply them to your class and use them when you're studying, use them when you're taking practical exams, you're more likely to then do better on the exam. Number 4, focus only on the exam. Okay, focus only on the exam, especially if your school only grades you on one final exam. Most of the top law schools I know about, except for a few, will grade you primarily on one final exam. Now, of course, there may be some differentiating pieces. Like I did have a professor who you also got piece of your grade was a midterm, or piece of your grade was quizzes, but for the most part, in the majority of your classes, you're going to be graded on one final exam. Because that is what determines your grade, that is what you should be focusing on. So if that's what you're focusing on, what that means is everything you are doing is geared towards preparing for that final exam. And I learned this pretty early, when I was in law school. And that's why I started outlining so soon. And that's why I started taking practice exams so soon. And that's why everything I was doing was geared towards increasing my grade on that final exam, because that's what mattered. And so with that same thing, that brings me to our next tip, which is going to professor's office hours. Because your professor is the one grading your exam, you're gonna want to know what he expects on the exam. You're gonna want to know what his past exams look like. You're gonna wanna ask him questions about what's the difference between an A answer and a B answer and a ton of other things, right? So going to his office hours is going to help you, 1, not only prepare for the exam, but also 2, build important relationships with your professors, which you are going to want and need, because then you'll be able to ask them for recommendation letters further down the line. The final thing that I have for you guys, if you could not tell, is always, always, always take practice exams. If you want to do better on the exam, you cannot let the exam be the first, second, and arguably even third time that you are taking the final exam. Go take practice exams that your professor has, that your school has online, hopefully in their library, in their bank. Take those practice exams and get yourself familiar with how your professor tests, what he likes to test on, so that you can be prepared when exam time comes. And it also helps ease that anxiety. So the first time you go into the exam room, you don't freeze and because you're like, okay, I've done this before, I've seen this before, I'm familiar. So these are just a few tips, I think 6 to be exact, tips on how you can get straight A's your first year in law school. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are an incoming law student and you're looking for coaching, make sure you go to toppingthecurve.com to sign up for law student coaching. If you're watching this as an applicant, sign up for law school application coaching. I will see you guys on my next video. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Topping the Curve. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.